So right now, the chief financial officer of the Chinese tech company Huawei is out on bail in Canada, accused of dodging U.S. sanctions on Iran. Now, three of the world's largest economies are openly trying to bypass sanctions on the same country. Germany, France, and the UK are working on a payment mechanism to allow their businesses to continue trading with Iran in defiance of President Trump's sanctions. Now, it's called INSTEX, and it's an instrument in support of trade exchanges. Now, it's expected to operate like a bartering platform or clearinghouse rather than relying on direct financial transactions. Key, it won't be using US dollars. If Washington wants to punish those who use it, it would mean penalizing countries traditionally seen as its closest allies. Now, Ramin Asgard is a former political advisor to the U.S. Central Command. He was also director of America's Iran Regional Presence Office in Dubai. This is a controversial move by Europe. When they first proposed it, I actually didn't believe they'd go through with it. It seems like they are, no matter how modestly it begins. Do you think it will elicit a response from the Trump administration?
Well, thank you very much. I think what the Europeans have done is they're playing a game of three-dimensional chess where they're a little bit caught between their responsibilities under the JCPOA and U.S. sanctions and not wanting to trigger them. What they've done here is, frankly, they've taken the smallest step forward in trying to show a little bit of independence from U.S. sanctions policy. And this INSTEX that has gone into effect today deals only at this point with humanitarian trade, food, medicine, medical equipment, and they're hoping, the Europeans, that it'll be enough to keep Iran in the JCPOA and not too much so that the United States will have any negative reaction to it.
And yet Iran has already shown some impatience with the timetable and with, as you said, so far the humanitarian parameters of that. As I say, Mike Pompeo has called this a disastrous policy. And some are waiting to see exactly what kind of a rupture it will cause between the United States and these allies. What is Europe trying to get at here?
I think what the Europeans are trying to do is they desperately want the JCPOA to stay into effect. They don't want Iran to break out again into a race for nuclear technology. They think that could escalate very rapidly into a very serious conflict. And so they want to play an kind of an intermediate role with the United States. This is hearkening back to what was going on in the 2000s, basically, where the EU3 were doing their best to maintain Iran from going too rogue, and the United States was pretty much maintaining a strong thrust of sanctions. If the EU is now looking to really stand up for its banks and its businesses and really step out, it would require them to go beyond humanitarian trade. Remember, humanitarian trade is legal for U.S. sanctions in this case. So far the EU is treading very carefully, but is definitely watching the trend and seeing, do we want to step any further? Perhaps they're waiting for reactions from the Trump White House, from the Iranians, to see where exactly this might head. But they are maintaining at least positive momentum and delivering on a promise that they had mentioned several months ago that they would do. So in that effect, they are showing a little bit of independence and a little bit of forward progress for standing up for the EU3's position.
Yeah, it will be a very interesting story to watch in the coming months. So thank you for your insights on this. Appreciate it.